Hi there, I'm Stephen Lepetak, Executive Editor of The Drum, and this is the latest in a series of interviews with the chairs of the Drum Awards this year. And this episode talks to the chair of this year's Chip Shop Awards, and that's Ben Gollock, the Chief Creative Officer of MSC Saatchi. Ben, thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Stephen. Nice to be here.
So, you were invited to be the chair of the Chip Shop Awards, which are the creative awards with no rules. So we're totally about ideas and trying to explore how ideas in advertising can work when you perhaps don't have a client to work with. So Ben, having gone through all the work this year, what was your choice of work to award with the Chairs Award this year?
Well, thanks for inviting me to judge. It was a joy to look through all of it. The piece that I ultimately chose for the Chairman's Award, it was in contention for the Grand Prix, but didn't get it. But I felt like it was something that really deserved to be elevated. And that was a piece for Prostate UK, a campaign called Show Your Ring, entered by the Copydoc. Not quite sure who they are, but I certainly liked the work that they entered.
It could be a budding startup that we've discovered.
I hope so. Maybe this is their making.
So first of all, to explain, Prostate Cancer didn't actually commission this. This is entirely based on work that was created theoretically for prostate cancer. So if you work for them and you're watching this and you're confused, don't worry.
Although if you work for them, get in touch with this agency or these people or these freelancers, these renegades, whoever they are, because actually it's a really smart bit of work. I think for me, the best work in the Chip Shop Awards is work that didn't run but absolutely should have. This was actually in the category of best use of bad taste, which is a great category for an awards show. And what was interesting, I mean, you say there are no rules in this category, but as judges, you have to apply some rules or some sense of how you're going to filter the work out. And the quickest rule we applied was that we didn't want bad taste for bad taste's sake. It had to be bad taste with good reason. Mm-hmm. Smart bad taste. And what was really good about the work for Prostate UK, the Show Your Ring campaign, was that it is a really smart idea. They've taken the rubber charity band kind of cliche and done a brown version for your finger. More than that, yes, it was kind of a slightly gross take on that thought, but they then put a really smart campaign around it. Some really nicely designed and typeset ads, some good lines. So a nice thought in that way that they subverted the band, but then I think just turned it into a really sweet campaign. And I think in those health campaigning areas, it's work like that can really stand out and make a difference. So if there's a good reason to wear a brown ring on your finger, it is to raise awareness about prostate cancer. So bad taste for the best possible reason. And that's why it rose to the top of the bad taste category, as opposed to some other things which were bad taste for bad taste's sake, or sometimes just bad. This was good and smart.
And that's what I think is quintessential about the best work that comes into the Chip Shop Awards. It stands out because it either makes you smile or it makes you think, oh God, there's something about it that frees up the creative spirit. But actually, I agree, I think it could easily have run. What do you think about the idea of creativity that does kind of, not that shocks or just makes you think? Is that when advertising is at its best?
It can be. I don't think it's the only tactic, but it's certainly a good one to have in the armory. It is one that I think needs two things. One, it needs, again, the right sort of shock, something that's got smarts and a good strategic founding to it rather than just for the sake of it. And it needs a group of people around it who champion it and get it through what can be a really tough system for good work to get out in. So you need a good, smart, strong agency and good, smart, strong clients to rally together to get a piece of work like that through an organization, which isn't easy, but I think, for the right reasons and for the right work, it can really pay off. But yeah, as I say, I'm all for shock when it's well deployed.
Mm-hmm. And so, having seen all of the rest of the work at the Chips this year, was there anything else that stood out to you? Any trends or any other pieces of work? What did you take away from the experience?
I mean, the Drum Chip Shop Awards are great because they do they are a moment in time. And I think the work that's in these awards, perhaps more than any, captures what's going on in culture at the time. And there were, unsurprisingly, a lot of ads about the royal family, about Harry and Meghan, about Prince Andrew. There were a lot of pizza ads. There were a lot of takes on the bushfires, a lot of ads for Canesten gel. And it was interesting looking at those, because I think that a lot of those set slightly a harder goal for themselves in a way. They are very of the moment and they can be a smart take. But when you're looking at it, you can't help compare them to the best of the Twitter memes that were doing the rounds at the time. And unless you beat the stuff that was public socially and popular socially around those same issues, you can pale by comparison. I think equally there seems to be a lot of people who go, oh, that's a great series of ads, I'll do the next one. So there were a lot of people's takes on should have gone to Specsavers, or you're not you when you're hungry. People would look at a successful campaign and go, I'm going to do the Prince Andrew version of that, or I'm going to do the Harry and Meghan or the Australian bushfires version of that. And again, I think collectively the judges took a harsher view, not to say that they weren't smart or funny ideas, but someone else did the heavy lifting for you. The people who made that campaign did the heavy lifting. You came along and did an execution. Unless that execution really adds something different or special or new, it kind of fell by the wayside. But as you say, there were other things that were in contention for the Grand Prix, which were brilliant. I think what is amazing about the work in the chip shop is it goes, as an industry, we love what we do so much that we will invent a brief, invent a problem, invent the work, and make that work beautiful just for our own entertainment. And so there were some really brilliant examples of people looking at the world going, how could I fix or solve, or sometimes create and then solve a problem, just so I can make advertising? And I think that's a real joy of the industry we're in.
Yeah, it's absolutely a chance for talented, creative, bright people to show off. I think that's why a lot of people do love it.
The other thing there was lots of course, were responses to COVID-19. Some great stuff for Corona, in the absence seemingly of Corona beer doing anything for themselves. Plenty of people had some great ideas. We were careful not to make it the Corona Awards because there was a lot of work that was COVID-19 related. And it was important for us to sort of make sure that we respected the diversity of entries and work that was in there. But there were some brilliant takes, some of them really smart social stuff. One of the pieces I liked was turning the Google hand into a little hand washing animation. Just one of those things that's always there on the internet, but that reminder to wash your hands. That was a Brailleano entry, really smart bit of thinking, and just a nice. I always love it when people find a media moment that wasn't a media moment and sort of create one. So there's some really smart stuff.
So you've mentioned COVID-19, which we're still in the midst of coming through. What advice would you have for creatives and creative companies right now as they work towards wherever we end up?
Wherever, indeed. I mean, it's a movable feast, moving goalposts. I think the thing that, and it's something we're engaged with our clients and having lots of meetings about, the thing that seems to matter more than anything is tone. Getting the tone right and being in step with the times. And the times change quickly. What you're talking about one week, whether that's panic buying or whatever it might be, and what you're talking about the next week, you've got to make sure you're out in the right moment, in the right week. It's not a time to make work that takes weeks to get through the system or to think about or to go back and forth on, because if you miss that moment or miss that timing, you can end up being really off tone and off where the audience and the world has moved to. So tone of voice feels like absolutely getting that tone right and the timing right with the work feels essential to I think it's really easy for people to take pot shots at brands, particularly in this time, if we're seen to get it wrong or to be opportunistic rather than smartly looking at what we can genuinely do to add value or improve the conversation.
It's been interesting watching that in terms of how the public has responded to public sector campaigning around COVID-19 as well. So communications it's been vital, but you can tell the public are concerned about it as well. So that's when you see a whole other facet to advertising and how important to society it can be.
Well, you realise just how engaged with the work that we do people can be. I think, when it's written on a podium that the Prime Minister's standing behind and it becomes a national moment, it reminds you how important words and tone and getting those things right are.
Well, well, Ben, thank you again for being our chair of the Chip Shop Awards this year. You're not quite finished because I know I'm going to be doing another interview with you soon in the same respect. But
more time on Zoom, Stephen. More time on Zoom.
It's where we live these days. So thank you again, and thank you to you, the viewer, for joining us. Plenty more discussion on the Chip Shop Awards to come around the winners, and congratulations to you if you were one of the winners. Speak to you soon. Take care.